95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
A very good morning and welcome on to the Morning Majlis with myself, Abdul Karim Hanif, and Omar Al-Busaidi over here. Now, we're talking a very important discussion over here, Omar, and this is something that's got, we're left speechless.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of engagement from the listeners, and so many people are sending in their questions. One of them, of course, is Asma, who asked us, what animals are more, or the best and the more convenient animals that we can keep at home. And and she said, because she continues, she says that some people or kids, they really like to keep animals at home. And Dr. Mohammed had something interesting to say during the break. Dr. Mohammed, maybe you want to tell the audience, the listeners outside, what is the best animals that they can keep?
Yeah, those in definition, clear definition, those who are really depending in their need on the human being.
Yeah.
So those are domestic animal. So I mean here dogs and cats mainly. There is other species like domestic chinchilla and rabbits or something. But let's focus on dogs and cats because they are many around us in millions. So in the same, we will be happy if somebody have dogs and cat in his home. If he rescues this animal from the street. Stray dogs and stray cats represent a threat in the street. They cause accident. They can be harmed by people, and there is potentially of having diseases, rabies, and this. So rescuing these animals and subject them to veterinary health inspection and taking proper vaccination and be involved in adoption program, so you can take and care of such animals. They can, if they are dogs, they can help you in guard your home, your garden, and things. So there is some benefits from this. So this is my advice: try to keep away from wild animals. Those are wild. Those not belong to human condition. This is not the conditions that they like. And as I will repeat my question or my answer to, if we take the caged bird as an example, just ask the bird if he like to be in the cage or even in your room.
It's true.
Just put this bird on the window, open the window, and see if this bird still join you. This mean he like you.
That's true.
But mostly this will not happen.
Doctor, also we have another comment from Jessica Abu Khalil. She's like, keeping monkeys and cheetah and lions are not pets to be kept at home. And then Sheba, one of our listeners, she's like, animals are animals. Their freedom is built into their DNA structure of their biology. So as humans, we must respect this boundary. And then she continues, she says, surely it's the animals which support being able to live in a captive environment, and certain crossbreed dogs even struggle with living with humans. So not everything in not all sorts of dogs or whatever. And she says the last thing she's saying is that mindset of the owners needs to happen. Owners should be subject to psychological tests, as it's about understanding how to give them freedom. And Jessica says one more thing. She's like, it's haram, or it's bad to cage exotic animals. So
I would like to comment on the monkeys.
Sure.
Most of the monkeys came here to United Arab Emirates are Hamidras baboon. Usually came from southwest area of Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of monkeys there. Baboons.
Really?
Yeah. In one of the shipment that confiscated on the border between Saudi Arabia and UAE, I think it was around 45 monkeys, small monkeys. 50% of this was infected by tuberculosis, a disease dangerous to human and transmissible to human.
That's true. I got it.
I don't know how I will feel safe on my kids, on my family, by bringing a monkey. Have rate of infection 50%. Most of them are infected by tuberculosis.
True. Well,
this is one disease.
Yeah.
Maybe others.
Oh, I know. It's
exactly.
yeah.
Well, Megha, let's bring your attention here now. What we understand is that the owners are not, they're not cruel people. They're just the ones who just want, and they just don't have the awareness. Now, if we were to raise awareness for them and for the listeners to understand the magnitude of how illegal trade is, the impact on the wild. You mentioned some figures about the amount of cheetahs that are now left in the wild, and the same goes for every other animal.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking that there's only 7,000 cheetahs left in the wild. I mean, just think about it. On the entire planet, there's only 7,000 cheetahs, and 4 out of the 6 great apes are on the critically endangered list. They're on the red list. You may have one at home today, but think about then your grandchildren or even great-grandchildren. They might only hear about this at school, in a documentary, in pictures. They may never get to see any of these animals in the wild, which is shameful, and it's so very sad. And what did we achieve? We achieved nothing by keeping them in a home as a pet. You shorten their lifespan, most likely. They lived an awful life away from their natural environment, and all for the sake of perhaps few likes or shares on Instagram and Facebook.
Exactly, all for that as well. Well, what we'll do now is we'll take a bit of a short break, and we will conclude this conversation with what needs to be done. We've understood that there's a problem. We've understood that there are issues surrounding it. But how do we address this? Do we go into the world of social media and pinpoint to them to say, hey, you're contributing towards it? Because when we talk about social media, we know how that's allowed a horrific individual to commit mass atrocities on humans.
Yes.
In New Zealand, in a peaceful and a peace-loving country, but now we're doing it in this region as a whole and around the world, this illegal trade which is affecting a population that is not used to living in your own homes. All this will be addressed right here on the Morning Majlis. Plenty of covers. Shout out to our Chief Music Officer, Summer, who's come up with some great music for us on the Morning Majlis. She's done this playlist. So let's take a bit of a breather, and we will conclude this right here on the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95.